Nobody knows why Alicia Calderon decided to torture her friend Simone. But for 2 years, she held her captive, starving her, locking her in a dog cage, and even at times pouring boiling hot water onto her skin. You see, it started in 2019 when Simone was invited to move into their mobile home under the pretense that she would get free rent in exchange for watching her children and an elderly woman that was living with them. Now, Simone's mother was a little concerned by that, saying, well, why would she do that? That doesn't make a lot of sense to her. And as she began asking more and more questions, the phone calls between her and her daughter kind of started to fade away. Well, what Simone's mother wasn't aware of was that it wasn't Simone that was not answering the phone calls. It was Alicia taking the phone from Simone and restricting her ability to use it. And that came along with other restrictions, such as food restrictions and time that she was allowed out of the room with the elderly lady. And as time went on, the phone was completely taken away, and her mother just assumed that her and Simone had grown apart and that Simone wanted her independence and not be told what to do by her mother. But what her parents didn't realize is that she actually was being put through some of the most torturous things you could imagine. So she was starved to the point that she was down to 68 pounds. And as she became weaker and weaker, she was unable to care for the elderly woman whose room she was actually locked in. This got Alicia Calderon to be upset at this situation, and she locked her into a dog cage and at times poured boiling hot water on her, not just once, but multiple times as she began to not be able to take care of the elderly woman. Then she would give her no medical treatment for the burns, at which point they would find that she has second and third degree burns over a lot of her body. This torture went on for multiple years when she was finally able to get a cell phone from one of the children that lived there while Alicia and her husband were out. Her message basically said, please, someone, please, emergency, told her where the location was, and it was Simone, and she sent that Facebook message to her stepfather. He immediately rushed over and alerted the authorities, who were able to come inside. They asked her to come inside, but she said, listen, you've got to remove the blocks that are blocking the door. I can't get out. When they got her, her stepfather immediately got her in the truck and took her to the hospital. She just wanted to get as far away from there as she possibly could. All in all, she was 68 pounds, had second and third degree burns all over her body. Her head was shaven, and her own mother said it took over a week to even recognize that that was actually her daughter. In addition, the elderly lady that had been in that room's condition had deteriorated so much when police arrived, they actually thought she was dead. And comes to find out that Alicia had been stealing the woman's Social Security checks and her inheritance to the tune of $78,000, spending the money on tattoos, rims, and a party rental place. Alicia was just sentenced to 75 years in prison for sadistic torture, and her husband has now also been accused of assisting in such torture. He's out on bond and set to face trial.